Why always got to be a black guy? Why it always has to be a black person? God damn it.
This Capitol belongs to all Americans, and starting now, we're taking it back.
President Trump announcing he is taking control of Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than Bogota, Colombia. Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than Mexico City.
And the police and deploying the National Guard in an unprecedented crackdown on crime in our nation's capital.
This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America. Really, it's a threat to our country.
Now, I understand Donald Trump, again, it is the nation's capital. And I do want people from Iowa, people from Nebraska, people from New York City, people from all over America to be able to come to the nation's capital, to be able to walk at night to dinner and not be afraid that they're going to get mugged or beaten up.
Now, if Joe from MSNBC, woke Joe, leftist Joe, from MSNBC can agree with President Trump to take over DC, maybe there's hope for America. Maybe there's hope for the Democratic Party. Just maybe.
Watching what happened after COVID and then watching how unserious the city council was, passing one law after another law after another law that made Washington, D.C. less safe. Just looked at it and said, these people aren't serious people. People living in supposedly a nice part of town, downtown, where there's shootings, where there's still carjackings, where there's still muggings, where people are still getting the hell beaten out of them walking to a restaurant.
Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again.
Every time the federal government step in order to fix a local issue, this automatically means there is a local leadership failure. And what we see happening in D.C., we also see it happening in Chicago. We see it happening in New York. And what's even crazier, I see a lot of people in DC are protesting, saying, no, we do not need the federal government to come help us. What? So you want the criminals to continue committing crime freely. This is what you want. Sometimes I wonder if the Democrats have lost their mind.
Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares joins us now. AG Miyares, thank you so much for waking up with us this morning. What is your reaction to what President Trump is doing in Washington, D.C., and how much does it impact neighboring Virginia?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's good for the nation's capital to be when so many people from all over the world come to visit D.C. and they see lawlessness, they see homelessness. What the president wants to do is go after these repeat offenders that are creating such of the lawlessness right now in the district. It's making it unsafe for everyday Virginians, and it should be one of our great cities in America we could brag about. Right now, we can't do that.
Yeah, it's hard to understand why someone can take objection to what President Trump is saying and doing. But this is what Democrats are doing. They take objection to everything he says and does.
Certain things that should be common sense, the Democrats are fighting. And for example, President Trump is saying, or not just President Trump, the Republican Party is saying, we need to be tough on crimes. We need to be tougher on crimes, which is common sense. If you are not tough on crimes, number one, that's you sending a message to the current criminals that they are not going to be held accountable. And number two, that's you also sending a message to the aspiring criminals. Oh, you know what? You can commit crime. It's not going to be that bad. And also, number three, that's you sending a message to the people that actually have some money to move out and open business other places. They would be like, you know what? Why would I open a business in this community when I know this business would not be protected, my family would not be protected, because there is no strong incentive for these criminals to stop committing crimes. So that's why being tougher on crimes it's like it should be common sense. But no, the Democrats, no, they don't believe in that.
Something else that President Trump wants to go after, and a U.S. attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, has been talking about it a lot, is calling to allow teenagers as young as 14 years old to be prosecuted as adults and face lengthy prison sentences. How challenging will that be to change and implement? Oftentimes you hear about kids as young as 13, 14 committing murders. Yeah. Getting a slap on the wrist, 1 year in juvenile detention, back out on the streets and doing it again.
Often, all these kids, number one, 14 years old, they are stealing, committing robbery, all these things. Number one, they know what they're doing. They know they are committing crime. Number two, sometimes they have their moms waiting for them in the car because the mom knows, you know what, if my kid, my son or whatever, he's 14, if he gets caught, he's going to come home tonight. So there's not going to be any accountability. So often the parent, and you know what's even sad? What's even sad for me as a black man, when I watch the news, most of these crimes are being committed by people that look like me. They are being committed by people that look like me. And I say, God damn it.
This Capitol belongs to all Americans. And starting now, we're taking it back. And that's the angle. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was given the tall order of handling this, and he's here with me exclusively. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us tonight. So the president called this a public safety emergency, and you said we're going to start seeing the National Guard this week. Mm-hmm. Tell us more.
This week and in coming weeks, and we're going to work right alongside our law enforcement partners as force multipliers. This is what the American people voted for, Laura. This is what the common sense, clarity, strength. I hadn't heard that story from President Trump before, the story he told about his father, that he told him, hey, son, if you look at the front door of a restaurant and it's dirty, then I bet the kitchen, you can count on the fact that the kitchen is too. And I sat there thinking that's exactly right. If our capital city is a mess, if we can't control our capital city, then what does the rest of the country look like? And what signals does the rest of the country take from that? So just like we did in Los Angeles, alongside our federal law, we took a lot of criticism for 4,000 troops, 700 Marines. You know what we didn't get? There was no summer of love in 2020. In 2025, there was a summer of law enforcement. And we quelled the protests of the attacks on ICE officers. We're going to help get D.C. under control by working with local officials who have been federalized, with federal officials who are coming in. The D.C. Guard's proud to be a part of it. Other states will contribute this week going into the weeks to come. Whatever's needed, the DOD will provide to make sure this is a safe city for those who live here, for those that work here, and the Americans who want to come visit here and love our capital city.
One thing that always bothers me is, when you travel, if you go to Portugal, you go to Italy, you don't see bunch of homeless people everywhere. You don't see bunch of garbage. You don't see bunch of the city is clean. You can see there is good leadership. But you come to New York City, bro. Garbage everywhere. People are dirty. Homeless everywhere. Homeless in the train. Homeless people in front of the restaurants. It's like, God damn, this is the message. This is the image you want to sell for the world's greatest, most powerful city. You go to Chicago. You go to certain places in Atlanta. You're like, God damn, this is the best you can do.
The question of martial law keeps getting raised by the left, that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, they want to impose martial law as authoritarians would. Mm-hmm. To that you say?
To that I say, look at Los Angeles. They said the exact same thing. Oh, look, 4,000 troops, California National Guard. Oh, look, the Marines. You can't put in the Marines. What? They were the troops available to ensure that we de-escalated the situation and didn't allow other lawbreakers to say, look, it's wide open. We can do whatever we want in these sanctuary cities. I was told, oh, you're going to lock up political opponents. You're going to go after Democrats, yada, yada. It's the same stuff every time, mischaracterizing our intentions. The intentions of this president is to establish law and order using legal and lawful and constitutional means, which he completely has. And you know what? You know why they don't like him? He's got the guts to do it. He's got the guts to say, I'm going to federalize the police that don't work. I'm going to bring in the National Guard. I'm going to bring in federal marshals. I'm going to bring in the park police.
How long will that be?
We're going to control
How
who
long
knows? How long? What is the?
Well, it costs money, right?
Sure, it does.
It costs money, and the question is, are you there for a year? Are you there for 6 months? And when the troops pull out, what happens
I would call this conditions-based. I would say it's a situation where we're here to support law enforcement. And the more we can free them up to do their job, the more effective they can be, the more we can work. I mean, this isn't my realm, but the justice system to make sure people who are arrested are actually locked up. That's why the president's talking about cashless bail in sanctuary cities. If you're illegal here in D.C., that's going to be a problem. So all of these things that apply to law and order are front and center for us. And I don't know, weeks, months, what will it take? That's the president's call.
You know, one of the main difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party, they wait until the disaster happens and try to see, okay, what can we do to fix it? The Republican Party looks ahead. They predict, and that's what real leadership is about. Real leadership is about, you know what? Let's see what could happen in the future if we do not intervene now. And that's why if you see often, especially President Trump, he's always trying to be ahead of the situation, ahead of the chaos. Okay, let's try to mitigate the situation now before the disaster comes. But the Democratic Party, they're like, okay, we don't need help. There's no problem. We don't need help until the city is burned down, being looted. That's when they're like, you know what, send us help. It's too late.
Will the National Guard be detaining Americans on American soil?
Under Title 32, which is the authorization they'll be using, they have broad latitude, but they're not going to be involved in law enforcement functions. They will be standing right alongside our federal agents like they were in Los Angeles. They're going to be proactive. If you take an action or a shot at them, there will be a consequence. So they're going to be strong.
So if a crime is being committed, in other words, and a National Guardsman sees a crime being committed, then what?
They can come alongside and assist law enforcement.
What if law enforcement isn't on that corner?
I will have their back to ensure they can take the necessary action to protect citizens of D.C. and to protect themselves. So there's no rogue law enforcement going on from the National Guard, but there's also the application of common sense.
Right. I mean, if they're here, people are not just gonna commit crime and then they just stand there wait for the police or the federal. No, they're here. They're gonna have to take action, either trying to stop the crime or hold these people accountable until they go to jail. Just common sense.
We're not going to have National Guardsmen sitting there like this,
right,
seeing a crime committed and not do something about it. You can help somebody, interdict, temporarily detain like we did in Los Angeles, and hand over to law enforcement.
Do you guys
That's it. I mean, that's why they're here.
Those are things the National Guard can be trained to do.
Do you guys have buy-in from any local officials in D.C.? I'm not saying you need it, but you can see where it would be helpful. Faith-based leaders, community leaders. Bowser, I think, is trying to walk a line there. She's probably the best mayor D.C. has had, which people think, well, how are you saying that? Because she's actually better than, I think, most mayors for the last 25 years in D.C.
I think she's walking a line of, as we talked about a little bit before the show, she understands the obvious. She understands the citizens of D.C. are sick of this kind of environment. And I think they're waiting for, if given an opportunity to resist the thugs and the gangs and the criminals and the drug dealers, they want the alternative. So I think the vast majority of D.C. folks, they may not want to say it, especially if they're a left of center, but under their breath and quietly, they would welcome a peaceful city where their friends and families can come visit and be safe.
And the National Guard going to be picking up these tents? So the homeless tents are all over the city. They're on K Street Tunnel. There are some dotting along the area here. There were more before. Some of them have been cleared out. Well, what about those?
We're working with the marshals and alongside them, alongside Park Police, alongside everybody else. Wherever they need the National Guard to assist, we're happy to be there.
Do you know where the homeless people are going to go?
That's not really my lane. Yeah. Our job is to stand alongside law enforcement. We'll do that.
We've got to repeal these laws of the left-leaning D.C. Council, one member of whom I just indicted recently, and we've got to make this place safe for the people in the district.
That's it. That's it. People are working, people are going to school, people are trying to be good citizens, and then you have a small majority of criminals that are making their lives a living hell. Of course, we need to take care of these people. We need to be tough on them.
D.C.'s sole congressional delegate is calling this all political overreach, but D.C.'s police union is applauding the White House for taking action.
In order to fix this problem and make sure that it doesn't ebb and flow and that the feds come in and we lower crime and then they leave and we're left holding the bag, it's very important that people know that there is underlying legislation that needs to be corrected so that we can actually properly staff this police department in order to properly police the city.
Why always got to be a black guy? Why it always has to be a black person? God damn it.
Now, the president says he's open to additional crime crackdowns in major cities like Chicago and Los Angeles. The mayor of Chicago said if Trump were to send the National Guard, that it would destabilize the city. That's the quote out of Chicago. Lawrence, Ainsley, and Brian, back to you guys.
Mark, the dynamic was so fascinating yesterday because you have the mayor come out and go, well, crime is down. I don't know why he's doing this. He's got a pandemic mindset. But almost everyone in the press room is living in Washington or the surrounding areas. So you don't need to see a bar graph or a pie chart. Do you get the sense that no matter your proclivity or what you thought of the president, the people in that room know there's a problem with crime in that city, regardless of what stat is out there?
Brian, I couldn't agree with you more because statistics don't tell the entire story. And obviously, if you're a victim of crime or if you know somebody who is, it matters a much bigger deal to you as opposed to just seeing something on a bar graph. And you asked a question about the reporters. I'll tell you, I went to the Starbucks yesterday before going to the White House. I asked this barista. She's got a 4-year-old boy. She's out there every day at 5 in the morning working her butt off. I said, what do you think about the National Guard coming? She goes, thank God they've got to get the city under control because she deals with the homeless in the store. She's got to deal with the crime in Anacostia. D.C. residents, yes, they are aware that this is going to be a huge political fight, but there is absolutely a crime problem in the nation's capital.
Yeah, if you live in a neighborhood.
I mean, when you think about it, only the criminals are not going to be happy with the government sending federal help. Only the criminals and all the people that do not use common sense. If you are a good citizen, you follow the law, you follow the rules, and they are sending you help to get yourself, your family, your business protected, why would you oppose? Why would you oppose to that?
You just want safety. You don't care how it's done. So Donald Trump said that he's invoking this under Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act. He had to notify Congress, right? Yeah. And he is able to bring in the National Guard for the next 30 days without having a vote from Congress. Is that right?
Ainsley, that is right. And he did notify the appropriate committees yesterday. So basically the clock is ticking. This gives Congress until mid-September to decide whether or not they want to extend the emergency. But this is unprecedented. We don't know what this is going to look like in the next week, 2 weeks, whether or not this is actually going to be well received by D.C. residents or if there's going to be pushback. My bet, Ainsley, guys, would be that by the weekend, when there's going to be an uptick in whether or not there's people out and about, whether we see more crime and how it's handled, if people say this is a good thing, or they're saying this is going in the wrong direction. But we had a fatal shooting just last night. So crime certainly, that was my favorite point, was that the council was saying there is no crime emergency. And then we had a fatal shooting 1 mile from the White House. Logan Circle is a nice area of this city. Not that it means that it shouldn't happen in other areas, but it's still absolutely happening.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
So, Brian, to your point, the press is in the city, right? We've heard stories for years. We've seen camera crews be attacked. But I'm sorry, their questioning of the president during the press conference yesterday wasn't reflective of that. And they kept citing numbers. Well, we have some numbers for you. So if you compare Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia's crime to everyone in the country, when it comes to total violent crime, it's the 10th highest in the country. When it comes to homicides, it's the 4th highest in the country. And vehicle theft, which we've heard this for years now with the carjacking, they're number 1 in the country. So don't tell us that it's safe and the president's overreacting.
Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than Bogota, Colombia. Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than Mexico City. Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than Islamabad, Pakistan. But if you listen to these Democrats speaking, they all tell you, oh no, this is safe. This is safe. There's no problem. But if you listen to the people of D.C., all of them tell you the same thing. We need help. We cannot go out at night. There's too many homeless people in the street. It's not safe. We cannot walk early in the morning. There's too many criminals from 13 years old and up. We need help. I'm just happy the president has that constitutional power where he can step in and help the people. Or whether now it's D.C., I'm sure soon it's going to be Chicago, it's going to be New York City. Wherever we have a local leadership failure, it is right for the federal government to step in and bring the people the help they need. Whether those people voted for the president or not. The point is the people need the help it is time to give them the help. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and of course, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with the president to step in and bring the federal help to DC, bring the National Guards to DC, or are you opposed to that? And yeah, see you guys in the next video. I'm still a little sick, but I'm doing better. I'm doing better. Anyway, guys, you stay safe. I see you in the next video.